This is the second lecture in Chapter 7 on thermochemistry. In this lecture, we'll be talking more about heat transfer and specifically talking about bomb calorimetry. Again, this corresponds to TRO 5th edition 7.4 to 7.6. So one of the ways we can measure the internal energy of the system is to study the chemical reaction, their chemical reaction. So when we think about the system, remember that we had the ability to quantify the amount of heat and the amount of work that was done in the change in internal energy from the system to the surroundings or vice versa. So we have this ability to study a reaction and study the amount of heat and work that is done, heat transfer and work that's being done. So at a constant volume, we eliminate the possibility of pressure volume work. And therefore, no work can be done. Nothing can move in the system. So we have work equal to 0, and we can define our change in internal energy as Q subscript V, where we're saying that that subscript V means we are at constant volume. So the only thing happening for our reaction, our system which we're studying, is the transfer of heat to or from the surroundings. So we just need to observe the change in temperature. The measurement of the flow of heat is called calorimetry, and we use a bomb calorimeter to study this. So my equation lost something, so there we go. Qcal, the heat change in the calorimeter will be equal and opposite to the heat change of the reaction. And if we kept a constant volume, we've held it rigid, then we are going to eliminate any work, and all the energy there will that's transferred will correspond to the internal energy of that reaction. So why is it called a bomb? Let's just talk about that a little bit. Well, typically the types of reactions we study in a bomb calorimeter are combustion reactions. So we have this little vessel inside of a larger vessel, and this this internal vessel is tightly capped with an ignition wire, which we apply a voltage across, which allows us to burn or combust whatever is placed inside that little vessel. Now, when you cause a reaction which generates gas under pressure, that's a bomb. In this case, we hope it doesn't actually rupture and hurt anyone. So these are typically, we're talking about small amounts of something we're burning in there, and it's really tightly capped, and you have to actually keep on inspecting it to make sure it's still safe to use. We submerge this bomb inside of a big tank of water. And the reason we use water, we mentioned before, has a great heat capacity, and it can absorb a lot of heat generated from that reaction. And once it's reached equilibrium, the final temperature will tell us the overall temperature change. You'll notice this little motor there stirring it to keep it nice, get it all nice and equilibrated. And we can know the temperature change and then go back and figure out how much energy was released into the surroundings from the reaction. Okay, so again, typically heat is transferred to the surroundings because we're burning something, and that tends to be pretty exothermic, or giving off heat. So the heat gained by the calorimeter is related to its heat capacity, and because the bomb calorimeter is an object, not moles of a bomb calorimeter, not grams of bomb calorimeter, because you need a whole one, we use the generic heat capacity and call it specifically Ccal. So Ccal, or the specific heat of the calorimeter, has units of joules per degree C, or Kelvin, on that unit, which allows us to cancel out degrees C from the change and results in our Q being in terms of joules. And remember, we defined that the reaction is going to have the equal and opposite heat change. So Q, the reaction, is equal to negative Q calorimeter times delta T. So thinking about peanut butter again, a tablespoon of peanut butter, about 16 grams, increases the temperature of a calorimeter from 22.2 to 25.4. We can find, if we know the heat capacity of the calorimeter, we can find the food calorie content. This is actually how they do these things. Find the food calorie content in cal, capital C. I mentioned that in the first lecture. Capital C is, actually that should be, yeah, capital C is a kilocalorie, and that equals 4.184 joules. And yeah, that is a kilocalorie. All right. Let's do a real example here. So if the heat capacity of a calorimeter is 7.794 kilojoules per degree C, and the combustion of 4 grams of methylhydrazine raises the temperature from 25 degrees C to 39.5 degrees C, what is the molar heat of combustion of methylhydrazine? Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can work this one out. Okay. So again, when first analyzing a question, you need to recognize what you've been given and what they're asking for. So first, let's talk about what they're asking for. The answer they're looking for is it molar heat of combustion. Molar heat suggests it's per mole, and we can either use joules or kilojoules. So molar heat of combustion suggests it's per mole. So that's going to be something we're going to have to come back to. We're also given the mass of methylhydrazine, M. We're given the C-cal, or the specific heat of our calorimeter above, and we were given a change in temperature, which was the change here from 25 degrees C to 39.15. That's an increase in temperature, so 39.5 minus 25 gives us a 14.5 degree change that we observed. Now, we were given the mass, and we need molar heat of combustion, so we're going to have to find the molar mass for methylhydrazine. Methylhydrazine, by the way, is the reactant here in the reaction that was given, the balanced reaction, and that's roughly about 46.1 grams per mole. So again, our plan here is to use this Bohm calorimetry equation. It's a heat transfer equation. So Q of the reaction equals negative Q cal. So Q of the reaction is going to be equal to the change in temperature times the specific heat of our calorimeter. It's going to be opposite in sign. So we can substitute in our values, and we get that the total heat generated by the reaction was a negative 113.0 kilojoules. So this is a combustion reaction. It's not a surprise, shouldn't be a surprise to us that it gave off heat. Most combustion reactions give off heat. The sign there should be negative. But it is important to point out that this was for a 4-gram sample of methylhydrazine. So we can write this as negative 113 kilojoules per 4 grams of methylhydrazine. If we want to come up with a molar heat of combustion, or the internal energy of that reaction in terms of moles, here's when we need to multiply by our molar mass and convert the 4 grams into the moles that we actually had in our system. And when we do that, we come up with a value of negative 1.30 times 10 to the third kilojoules per mole. So here's our molar heat of combustion, which is also, because we're using Bohm calorimetry, right, this is going to be equal to the delta E of our reaction. Okay. Enthalpy is a related type of energy of our system. So enthalpy change is the internal energy plus any pressure volume work that is done. And enthalpy change, just like internal energy, delta E, is also a state function. So we can define delta E as being, switch back over to red, as being delta E plus this change in pressure volume work. So delta E, as we know, is equal to Q plus W. And at constant pressure, we know that W is equal to negative P delta V. So if we're looking for enthalpy change, um, it is the heat evolved at constant pressure. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if we take delta E plus, and we're here at constant pressure, the volume has now changed. And if the volume has changed, and we know that delta E, and this here is actually negative work. This equals negative work. And we know that delta E is Q, we're at constant pressure now, and a plus W, and we're going to subtract W. So W's cancel out, and delta H equals QP. So it's the heat evolved or absorbed at constant pressure. And most of the time, our enthalpy will equal our internal energy if we're dealing with something that doesn't have gases involved, where there can be this pressure volume work, expansion work done, or yeah. So most of the time we actually care about delta H and not delta E. So when delta H is negative, heat is going to be released by the system. Heat is being transferred out of the system. We call that exothermic, giving off heat to the surroundings. In these reactions, conversion of some of the chemical potential energy that was stored in chemical bonds of the reactants gets produced and released as kinetic energy into the molecules around it as heat, the random kinetic energy of those molecules. And Q is negative. When delta H is greater than 1, it's positive, greater than 0, it's positive. Heat is being absorbed by the system. These are endothermic reactions. They acquire extra energy. Some of the thermal energy, the surroundings, is converted into chemical potential energy and stored in chemical bonds of the products, plus Q. So, I mean, I think one of the classic examples here is a cold pack. It feels cold to us because it's pulling heat out of us. And if we think about the reaction happening inside that cold pack, it is absorbing heat from the surroundings. Its delta H will be positive. It is an endothermic reaction. There's a reaction happening inside that cold pack that is drawing in heat and storing it in the chemical bonds of its products. And we think of flame. Flames are a classic example of exothermic. We experience them as hot because we're the surroundings, and it's transferring heat from the chemical bonds to us. It's releasing that heat into the surroundings. So enthalpy of a reaction becomes a really important thing to define for chemical reactions. It's an extensive property, however, and it will depend on how much you have. You think about your fuel, how much fuel you have will determine how much heat you produce. Same idea here. And we can define the enthalpy of the reaction as the difference in the enthalpy of the products minus the starting point, which was the enthalpy of the reactants. And this, again, is a state function. Doesn't matter how we get there, it's the difference between those two. And you might imagine that we could draw an energy diagram for these. So we can calculate the enthalpy change for a number of moles of reactants in a balanced reaction as written. So here we have an example of propane being burned. So we have a combustion reaction. Here's our balanced reaction. And the delta H is given for this reaction. So delta H is negative 2,044 kilojoules. Quite a bit of heat, actually. What's important to note that it is for the number of moles in the balanced reaction as written. What do I mean by that? This is minus 2,044 kilojoules per 1 mole of propane, or per 5 moles of oxygen, or per 3 moles of carbon dioxide produced, or 4 moles of water produced. So here, this is not the molar enthalpy because we haven't put it in terms of moles yet, but it is per mole as written in the balanced reaction. Any enthalpy like this must be connected to a balanced reaction, so then you can convert it. figure out how much is produced per mole of whatever it is that you reacted. The enthalpy of the reaction does depend on the state of the reactants and the products. And this enthalpy of the reaction depends on the state of the reactants and the products. Their energy on that energy diagram of delta H will change depending on the state, the phase that the reactants are in. And we can see this here where I've written this reaction again, but we just have liquid water. And because liquid water is at a lower energy than gaseous water, the delta H change here is, the difference there is greater. It's more negative. It's more exothermic. And it's because when we go from liquid to gas, we are actually going to have to input energy to get there, lose it from the combustion part of the reaction, and that's a positive delta H of 44 kilojoules. It requires energy to boil water away, right? That's what that's saying. Okay, this concludes a very short second lecture on thermochemistry. Next time we'll come back and we'll talk about how to quantify the energy, the enthalpy of reactions, and talk about other ways that we can calculate enthalpies for reaction.